everybody? Welcome to Liberate Your Money, episode 53. It is March 9th. Man, we got a lot to talk about. My last video was February 1st, actually, so it's been about a month, a little over a month before I did my last video. And, man, a lot has happened in the last month alone. We've got leaders of the free world freezing people's bank accounts because they made a donation to a protest that they don't like. We've got war over in Ukraine for God knows what reason. Who knows? You can't trust the media. You can't trust anybody, what they're telling us. Half the footage you see online is like either some video game footage or like just some fake outdated footage, meant to just stir up and get clicks. So a lot to talk about today. The highlight though is just like I've never been more bullish on Bitcoin specifically and crypto in general, with all of this stuff happening. We're talking about censorship resistant money that can't be shut down. And it's funny, Trudeau went on his little tirade up in Canada, and he was basically labeling these trucker protests, like they were some crazy people, like Nazi, like basically what they've been labeling the people on the right, like since his whole tenure. All the leftists like to say that anybody who promotes freedom or waves an American flag is like some right-wing Nazi, alt-right, protagonist. I don't really know, but they're always categorizing them a little unfairly, I would say. So he starts freezing bank accounts for people that donated $50 to the cause that they believe in. They weren't hurting people, or I guess they were breaking laws from being in a certain area past certain times, but like it's peaceful protesting. Like, we witnessed a year-long peaceful in quotations, with the riots that happened, in 2021, and that was while a pandemic was going on. So we just got a lot going on, and like all of it points, it just feels like crypto is at the center of all of this, and price is down right now, and people are worried about where it's headed. But like, I've never been more bullish crypto in my life, like long term, and even in like, I guess I wouldn't say short term because risk assets could still take a beating, but like it just feels like everything is coming full circle to Bitcoin. And I think as people are watching what's happening with Trudeau, and they're realizing how much power even Western leaders, and even after COVID, I mean, they showed us how tyrannical and how authoritarian they're willing to get out of fear, out of panic. You can say that it was, their heart was in the right place. They're trying to just make the right decisions, and I'm sure most of them probably are. But again, like, clearly we have major problems in the Western world, even with tyrannical leaders thinking that they have control over our lives. They're there to protect our rights. They're not there to remove our rights and tell us what we can do. Like, it's, they are public servants, and I realize every country's different, but Canada's not that much different. In Canada, and you see a lot of the American politicians reverberating a lot of the same stuff. They're trying to, just these crazy mask mandates. Like, the whole pandemic was just a travesty. It was really sad to see, and now we're finding out all these kids have all these, it set them so far back because they learned by seeing these people's lips move, and it's just, it's really sad to see. But again, all of this comes full circle back to Bitcoin, and I've never been more bullish. The chart actually looks decent. This is the monthly chart for Bitcoin. This isn't the log chart, so the log chart makes it look a lot different, right? Log chart's nice if we're looking long term and we can see trajectory over a long period of time. But I like the price action on the monthly that we're seeing right now, because as you can see with this orange line, we have closed the past 2 months above it, so this is strong support. We've breached it a couple times. We've actually made higher lows, and actually came down and bounced off of that pretty cleanly this last candle. And right now we've had a nice pump today. We're up 8%. Today we had some news. Biden came out with an executive order on crypto, which was surprisingly positive. There was no change in laws, but basically he just came out with enforcement priorities and what he wants us to start working together and start doing, which I think is like a pretty good first step. Like, I honestly thought that they were going to come out with laws, overstep their boundaries, and kind of put their first shackles on the industry, and they didn't do that. They basically just came out with more clarity and enforcement priorities that basically should help clarify, because basically, like, the government, I mean, this is good to me, because the government's admitting, like, look, we need to learn more about this. We have to accept digital assets because the adoption rate is so crazy, and they go into that in this report, and they're basically saying that crypto is, you can't ignore it, and they accept that, and they're not here to shut it out. They're here to understand it and make sure that it's done securely, safely, yada yada yada. So it was good news, and that could be the reason why we pumped today. Everyone looks for narratives on pumps, but we do got a very nice daily candle. As you can see, we're still making higher lows, bouncing off of this diagonal, and we have been bouncing off of that. This is actually a quarterly support level, this gold line. And so, yeah, I think this is a great time to be dollar cost averaging in the stuff. I've been buying. I've got a couple accounts I've been accumulating in Bitcoin and Solana. A lot of the stuff that I had sold, I didn't sell any BTC, but I sold a lot of Solana. I sold some AVAX. I sold a lot of my altcoins, but I'm starting to accumulate some more. And I'm actually feeling pretty good about where we're at. I think we're probably going to keep going sideways. I doubt we're going to rally, but at the same time, all of this shit happening in the world just brings Bitcoin to the forefront like it never has before, and it's so mind-boggling to me how this is all unfolding. And another thing we need to talk about is, like, this Ukraine war with Russia. It was a historical moment, and who was talking about it? Did I pull up the tweet? Luke Groman was talking about how Russia basically broke the dollar system. He shot the dollar in the head. It is no longer going to be the reserve currency of the world. It's slowly going to fade out of relevance because they basically, China and Russia, they've expressed this. The U.S. weaponizes the dollar system, and the reason that we've had the reserve currency of the world is because we actually import a lot of the goods from other places. We've moved all the manufacturing overseas because they can do it for cheaper, and that's why we have run these deficits and trade deficits, and we have been for a really long time. And that's came back to haunt us, because now we've got Russia, who has all of these oil and energy reserves that a lot of Europe is using, and a lot of Europe relies on, and especially because they've gone green. They've gone, they've basically booted out all of their fossil fuel reliable energy sources in-house and are relying on foreign energy because they want to virtue signal that they're green and all whatnot. But they're still getting it from other countries, and now you've got an antagonizer like Russia banning exports to other countries. So all these NATO countries, they're not going to get their oil, their gas that they need. And now the European nations are scrambling. And we've got we've got 6 months ago, the president was saying we need to go remove all fossil fuels. We need to get to net zero carbon emissions. And now we're firing up coal plants where we're like, all right, we're all of a sudden one of our arch nemesis is pissed at us and cut us off from their supply. Now we got to start doing it in-house. Otherwise, we're really going to be hurting over here. I mean, we're already seeing $7, $8 gas prices per gallon. It's insane. Inflation has been insane. Bloomberg, I read an article today, they were saying that we could see up to 10% inflation in the next few months. I mean, I work in sales. I sell a lot of equipment that has a lot of metal and copper, and it's just been mind-boggling, the price rises. I mean, it's really scary. I've been watching food prices go up, and they've been going all over the place. I was pretty surprised at my meat prices today. I thought they'd be higher than they were, but I live in Midwestern state, so we're pretty reluctant with our meat around here. But the other things, my vegetables, a lot of things are just skyrocketing in price, and it's because they printed so much money. You got people like Senator Warren, Elizabeth Warren, saying that the businesses are raising the prices, and they're the greedy ones that are raising the prices, and she's not even giving any credit to the Federal Reserve for printing billions of dollars, trillions of dollars over the past couple of years, which is the real reason why we're experiencing all this high inflation, right? And then on top of that, we've got the supply chain issues, and then on top of that, we've got workers. We've got a major rebalancing in wages going on right now, where people are demanding more money because their cost of living is rising, and their rent is rising, and housing prices are skyrocketing, and a lot of people like us have been anticipating this. Like, that's our whole thesis. The reason why Bitcoin was created is because we live in a fiat system that, doesn't value hard money. And, people are going to start valuing it, a lot more. And I see more and more people start to have that eye-opening orange pill experience, realization, where they're looking at the prices of everything. They're seeing the dollar being printed away, and they're realizing that you need hard, scarce assets. You need real estate. You need Bitcoin. You need provably scarce things. And even gold is on a rally right now, which is to be expected, right? It's a hard asset. So, tons of shit happening right now, guys. Like, stat cash, buy dips, sell rips. I don't think we're in any selling time right now. We're in a buying period. I'm buying. If we get below, I honestly think that we're just going to keep making higher lows and keep kind of grinding sideways and up. Like, maybe we'll just ride this trend line a little bit and just keep kind of grinding up, or maybe even keep ranging in this ascending triangle wedge we got going on, and hopefully break it to the upside. And the thing that's holding me back, from like dropping a bunch of money, is the fact that the halving was 2 years away, over 2 years away, and actually it was about 2 years away, a little less than 2 years. So we've got over 2 years before the next halving. So that's why, like, I'm kind of hesitant to be throwing the bag on it, because, like, even if we do grind higher, like, I still think that we just have a lot of shaking out to do, and we would probably go sideways, maybe even dip a little more before going higher. Like, if you notice, every bull run in the past, like, always had this crazy dip washout before grinding sideways and higher. Crazy dip washout, sideways and higher. We did have this washout here, and then like another one after a few months. So it's just like this chop has just been really antagonizing. But we're at the bottom of the range again, right? And we're actually bottoming a little bit higher than we did before. So it looks good. Like from a macro perspective, it doesn't look terrible. Like other than the fact that this looks like a massive double top, and I would welcome a flush below, maybe down here, and get back up and then get higher, because a lot of times, Bitcoin usually doesn't give you a lot of time to buy the bottom. Like it did down here. It didn't down here, It did down here. But like, see what I mean? This is 2018. 2 years into about where we're at. Is about right over here. Somewhere. And then we went sideways for a whole nother year before getting to the halving. The halving was right here. And we went sideways for a couple more months and eventually just went parabolic. So while we're at the bottom of the range, I think it's favoring longs here, and obviously like filling the spot bags down here is key. I think we could easily just keep going sideways or maybe even dip lower, right? And I would welcome that. I'm buying. So that's where I'm at. I've never been more bullish crypto after the events that have transpired between Canada freezing bank accounts, between Russia shooting the dollar in the head, between global trade. I mean, Russia and China are trying to get away from the US dollar. I mean, other countries are trying to get away from the US dollar if they can, because they realize that the control the US has because of the dollar. So it would make all sense to, people are talking about a Bretton Woods, 3 or 2 or whatever, which would maybe we go back to like a gold standard. Russia has a ton of gold. I'm pretty sure China has a ton of gold. Guess who doesn't have a lot of gold? The United States. So I think it's insanely important that we adopt a Bitcoin policy and become the global leaders in crypto, because look, we've seen what China does with their currency. They've got a centralized digital currency which leads to a social credit system that is not in line with our values at all. Not American, not Western values at all. That is so communist, so anti-privacy. Bitcoin, on the other hand, or even another crypto that is even more privacy concerned, maybe it doesn't give like a Monero type of crypto, or maybe there's just another layer or maybe we just upgrade Bitcoin to where it has more privacy layers. There's a lot of ways we can make it more private. I think the key thing with Bitcoin is that it's the only truly decentralized currency, cryptocurrency. A lot of these other ones have teams. They have, they're staking, and they have these massive stakers, and it would be easier for them to shut down the network than it would be a truly decentralized proof of work network. Because with proof of work, you need power, and all you need is power and an internet connection, right? And so yeah, I'm super bullish Bitcoin, and I'm buying. With everything that's going on, man, I think you got to be safe. You got to make sure you have savings. Make sure you have money to take care of you and your family first before you buy, speculative asset like Bitcoin, because it truly is a speculative asset still. But at the same time, if you realize where the world is heading, and you see how the digitization of money can be really, really good, or it can be really, really bad. Because if it's centralized, it's insanely bad. We move to a social credit system, and if they don't like your politics, like Trudeau, he'll just shut you off like that, right? I mean, and we can't have that. We can't give them the ability to do that, which is why we have to choose a decentralized currency. And I think, like I said in a tweet earlier today, like, moving forward, a person's stance on Bitcoin is like my number one policy concern for like future presidential candidates. Like, are you pro Bitcoin? how do you see centralized currencies? Because they're not good. You know, I don't want my government to be able to see everything I'm doing and be able to judge me and tell me because I didn't get a vaccine or because I, you know, said something dumb on Twitter that, you know, I can't participate in food this week, or I can't buy certain things, or I can't go certain places, I can't buy my vehicle, or I can't use my vehicle. Like, it's just a lot of things we need to be careful of with the rising technology. It needs to be a force for good, not a force for bad, and we've seen what China does for it when it's a force for bad, and we need to make sure that we don't make the same mistake. So that's all I got, guys. Just kind of wanted to rant. There's been a lot of things going on. I could talk forever about all this stuff. Let me know what you think. Are you buying? Do you like the charts? Is there any altcoin projects that you guys like? I'm still in DeFi Kingdoms. I still love the project. I seen that they are moving their blockchain to Avalanche, which is pretty cool. But that's for another day. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.